In April 2024, the sky over the Arabian Peninsula turned an unnatural shade of green. Within hours, a year and a half's worth of rain violently descended onto the desert. What followed was a sight that the glossy tourism brochures never prepared anyone for. The world's most luxurious airport terminal flooded. High-end electric vehicles floated helplessly down multi-lane superhighways, and residents of exclusive high-rises found themselves trapped without power, food, or a working elevator. For decades, we have been told two wildly different stories about this city. The official marketing presents a flawless, futuristic utopia. Meanwhile, a relentless wave of internet documentaries claims the city is an empty, collapsing ghost town built on abandoned supercars and empty skyscrapers. But both stories are wrong. The real danger hiding behind the skyline is not that the city is empty. The problem is that it is too full. What that storm exposed was a fragile machine optimized for endless sunshine and perpetual expansion, suddenly hitting a hard physical limit. This is the story of a system built to outrun nature, and the terrifying cost of keeping that illusion alive. If you search the internet for the truth about this city, you will quickly find a very specific genre of modern mythology. Dramatic videos will tell you that the debt laws are so strict that businessmen are abandoning their Ferraris at the airport and fleeing into the night. They will tell you the skyscrapers are hollow, the malls are empty, and the great desert experiment is collapsing right before our eyes. It is a compelling narrative, but it ignores the fundamental reality of the current economic cycle. The laws that once criminalized bounced checks were heavily reformed years ago. The abandoned cars were mostly a temporary phenomenon from the 2008 financial crisis, repurposed today for sensationalist thumbnails. The truth is far more complicated, and frankly, much more concerning. The city is not suffering from a lack of interest. It is suffering from a massive, unprecedented hyper-compression. Following global lockdowns, a massive influx of capital and expatriates flooded into the region. People seeking distance from regional conflicts in Europe, escaping inflation, and searching for a tax-friendly haven arrived by the millions. In 2023, the city welcomed over 17 million international overnight visitors, breaking all previous records. But here is the foundational flaw of this economic model. Record arrivals do not automatically mean systemic stability. In fact, in a city built entirely on extreme engineering, more people means more stress on a system that is incredibly expensive to run. Every new resident requires desalinated water, air conditioning, waste management, and road space. The infrastructure was built rapidly, designed to maximize real estate footprints rather than systemic resilience. When you look closely at the data, you do not see a city that is dying. You see a city that is running on a treadmill. It must keep moving faster just to stay in place. The pressure is no longer about attracting the world. It is about figuring out where to put them, how to cool them, and how to pay the invisible operating costs that are quietly eating away at the foundation. To understand how close this machine is to its absolute limit, you have to look at the sky. The lifeblood of this desert economy is not oil. Oil actually accounts for a tiny fraction of its direct gross domestic product. The real engine is logistics, movement, and aviation. The city serves as the great connecting bridge between East and West. Its primary international airport has held the title of the world's busiest airport for international passenger traffic for years. In 2023, nearly 87 million passengers moved through its terminals. But there is a glaring physical problem. The airport is entirely hemmed in. It is surrounded by dense residential neighborhoods, major highways, and the border of a neighboring emirate. There is no room to build a new runway. The airspace is so congested that planes frequently hold in intricate circular patterns over the Persian Gulf, just waiting for a slot to land. Aviation is the absolute ceiling of this economy. If planes cannot land, tourists cannot spend, hotels remain empty, and the massive retail sector suffocates. Recognizing this bottleneck, The leadership recently announced the revival of an astronomical gamble. They approved a $34.8 billion plan to expand the secondary airport, Al Maktoum International, deep in the southern desert. The goal is to handle 260 million passengers a year. But this is where the growth trap becomes visible. This is not just building a new airport. It requires shifting the entire logistical center of gravity of the city. Entire supply chains, cargo hubs, and aviation workforces must be relocated to a completely new district. It is a massive capital expenditure that relies on the assumption that global travel demand will simply grow in a straight line forever. If geopolitical tensions in the Middle East escalate, if global aviation fuel costs spike, or if environmental regulations begin to heavily tax long-haul flights, that $35 billion investment risks becoming an anchor rather than an engine. The city is essentially doubling down on the one sector it cannot control. It is betting its future on the hope that the rest of the world will never stop flying. If aviation is the engine, water and cold air are the life support systems. When you look at the lush, green golf courses, the sprawling artificial lakes, and the massive outdoor floral gardens situated in the middle of one of the most hostile climates on Earth, you are looking at an illusion. This environment naturally provides almost zero fresh water. To keep millions of residents and tourists alive, the city relies on an industrial process that is staggeringly expensive: desalination. Every single day, massive power and desalination plants along the coast suck in millions of gallons of seawater, boil it or push it through high-pressure reverse osmosis membranes, and pump it into the city. The energy required to do this is colossal. While the authorities are actively shifting towards solar power and more efficient reverse osmosis plants, the sheer volume of water demanded by a rapidly expanding population creates an immense baseline cost just to exist. And that water is not just for drinking. It is used to maintain the illusion of a tropical paradise. It waters the lawns, fills the infinity pools, and cools the industrial machinery. Then there is the heat. For nearly half the year, outdoor temperatures regularly exceed 40 degrees Celsius, pushing well past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The entire economy moves indoors. The massive malls, indoor ski slopes, and glass skyscrapers require a constant, uninterrupted flow of electricity to power the air conditioning systems. This creates a terrifying vulnerability. The city's infrastructure is a closed-loop survival mechanism. In most global cities, if the power grid fails for a few hours, it is a severe inconvenience. In this environment, an extended power or water disruption during the peak summer months would be a fast-moving humanitarian crisis. The sheer operating cost to defy nature every single day is woven into the price of everything, from hotel rates to a cup of coffee. The city must remain impossibly expensive just to cover the electric bill. That battle against nature was brutally exposed during the floods of April 2024. For a long time, the prevailing myth was that this city was simply built too fast, prioritizing aesthetics over engineering. While there is truth to the speed of construction, the real structural flaw is the assumption of a static climate. When the major highways and residential districts were laid out in the 1990s and 2000s, they were designed for an environment that experienced very rare, very brief rain. Extensive underground storm drainage systems were simply not deemed a financial priority. Why spend billions on storm drains in a desert? Since its rapid expansion began, estimates suggest Dubai has poured over $80 billion into its primary road networks, power grids, and luxury districts. But as the floodwaters rose, it became clear that this massive investment was missing a critical component: resilience against a changing climate. But the climate is no longer static. Warmer air holds more moisture. As the waters of the surrounding Gulf warm, the atmospheric dynamics are shifting. When the storm hit, it did not just break records. It shattered the operational capacity of the city. The water had nowhere to go. It pooled in the concrete bowls of underpasses, backed up into the foundations of luxury villas, and exposed a critical vulnerability in the real estate market. The aftermath was a harsh reality check. Buyers who had just spent millions of dollars on premium villas found themselves calculating the cost of ruined interiors and evaluating the lack of drainage in their neighborhoods. The official response was swift, with massive new drainage infrastructure projects announced almost immediately. But retrofitting a fully built, densely populated megalopolis with an underground drainage system is incredibly complex and astronomically expensive. It requires tearing up the very highways that keep the city moving. It highlights a recurring theme. The city is brilliant at building the future, but it is constantly forced to spend billions going back to fix the foundation. This reactive engineering creates an endless cycle of capital expenditure. How many times can a city afford to rebuild its own infrastructure before the investors simply decide the risk is too high? This constant need for capital expansion is now quietly suffocating the very people who keep the city running. There is a demographic time bomb ticking underneath the glass towers, and it has nothing to do with the sensationalist claims of abandoned projects. It has to do with the middle class. The population is overwhelmingly made up of expatriates. Only a small fraction are local citizens. The rest are workers, managers, and entrepreneurs whose right to remain in the city is generally tied to their employment or investment. Historically, the deal was simple. You come to the desert, you endure the summer heat, and in exchange, you earn a tax-free salary and enjoy a high standard of living. But that equation is breaking down. Since the post-pandemic population boom, the real estate market has experienced a severe supply-demand imbalance. Rents in popular residential areas have surged by 20, 30, and sometimes 40% in a single year. The cost of schooling, groceries, and basic services has skyrocketed. For the ultra-wealthy, this is merely an annoyance. But the city does not run on the ultra-wealthy. It runs on the middle management logistics coordinators, the hotel staff, the nurses, and the retail workers. As rents push them further out into the desert periphery, their commute times increase, and their disposable income vanishes. Small and medium businesses, which form the actual backbone of the daily economy, are being squeezed from both sides. They face higher costs to lease commercial space and intense pressure to raise salaries just so their employees can afford to live. If the middle class reaches a breaking point and begins to leave, the service quality plummets. A luxury hotel cannot maintain a 5-star rating if it cannot afford to house its staff. The city is dangerously close to pricing out the very workforce that makes the luxury possible. To understand why the cost of living will not drop anytime soon, we have to look at a fundamental shift in the city's financial identity. For decades, the ultimate marketing hook was 2 words: zero taxes. It was the ultimate safe haven for global capital. But as the city grew into a major global financial center, it attracted intense scrutiny from international regulatory bodies. To avoid being blacklisted by global financial networks and to shed its reputation as a gray area for unregulated capital, the government made a historic decision. In June 2023, the Emirates implemented a 9% corporate tax on business profits. Compared to Western nations, 9% is still incredibly low. But psychologically, it represents the end of an era. It is the recognition that a mature economy cannot rely solely on fees, fines, and real estate transactions to fund its massive infrastructure needs. The government needs a stable, recurring revenue stream to pay for the new airports, the drainage systems, and the constant maintenance of the machine. This introduction of corporate tax, along with a previously introduced value-added tax, fundamentally changes the math for foreign investors. The competitive advantage is shrinking. When you combine the new tax environment with the astronomical cost of commercial real estate and the rising cost of retaining employees, the profit margins for businesses are getting thinner. Many companies are now doing a complex calculus. Is the geographical advantage of being in this specific city still worth the premium price tag? The city is transitioning from a high-risk, high-reward frontier town into a heavily regulated, expensive global metropolis. And in that transition, it risks losing the very agility that made it famous in the first place. If you value documentaries that look beyond the skyline, subscribe. The next warning sign is rarely where the brochure tells you to look. This shrinking competitive advantage could not happen at a worse time, because for the first time in its modern history, the city faces a genuine, well-funded threat in its own backyard. For years, Dubai enjoyed a virtual monopoly on foreign investment and tourism in the region. If a global corporation wanted a Middle Eastern headquarters, there was really only one logical choice. That monopoly is over. Neighboring Saudi Arabia is executing its Vision 2030, a multi-trillion-dollar transformation aimed at diversifying its massive economy away from oil. Saudi Arabia is not just competing for tourists, it is actively fighting for corporate headquarters, talent, and global influence. Riyadh has introduced aggressive policies requiring international companies to establish their regional headquarters within the kingdom if they want access to lucrative government contracts. It is a direct challenge to Dubai's status as the default business hub of the Middle East. Furthermore, Saudi Arabia is pouring billions into its own mega projects, new airlines, and luxury tourism destinations along the Red Sea. This creates an unprecedented regional pressure. Dubai can no longer simply rely on being the most modern city in the desert. It now has to compete against a neighbor with substantially deeper financial reserves. If regional instability or geopolitical tensions rise, tourists and investors tend to view the entire Middle East as a single risk zone. A conflict in the broader region can cause a sudden drop in international bookings, regardless of how safe the city itself remains. The city is caught in a geopolitical vice. It must maintain its open, neutral, and hyper-modern image while navigating an increasingly volatile neighborhood and a fiercely competitive economic rival. The margin for error has vanished. One major geopolitical shock or one prolonged global recession could expose the immense financial leverage keeping the skyline standing. Dubai is not a giant with feet of clay, and it is not a ghost town waiting to collapse. That narrative is too simple. Instead, it is a Formula One engine running perfectly, but permanently redlining. It is a marvel of human ambition that has trapped itself in a cycle where it must constantly break records just to survive. Every new skyscraper, every expanded airport terminal, and every new record-breaking attraction requires an exponential increase in water, power, and capital. The pressure is compounding. The climate is testing the concrete. The cost of living is testing the workforce. And regional rivals are testing the monopoly on foreign investment. The ultimate vulnerability of this city is not that the oil will run out or that a few wealthy individuals will abandon their cars. The vulnerability is the absolute reliance on perfection. A system built for endless, aggressive growth has no shock absorbers for a slowdown. When your entire identity is based on being the biggest, the fastest, and the most luxurious, stagnation is indistinguishable from failure. What shines today under the Arabian sky is undoubtedly an economic miracle. But miracles are, by their very nature, incredibly expensive to maintain. This documentary is an independent analysis based on publicly available economic data, urban development reports, and verified events at the time of research. Regional economic conditions, government policies, and infrastructure projects are subject to rapid change. This video examines structural, economic, and environmental systems and is not directed at any specific individual, resident, or demographic. The insights provided are analytical inferences drawn from cited trends and do not constitute financial, investment, or personal travel advice.